Summon Raging Spirits. The spell gem card for this has practically no information on it. It's almost like the person writing it left halfway through the day and forgot to finish it. Normally a skill gem will tell us exactly how much damage it's going to deal at level 20 without any supports. This has nothing. All we know at maximum level is that we deal 38% more damage. And if we didn't know how to read the tags at the top of the spell gem, we wouldn't even know what kind of damage it dealt. Well, we could have guessed based on the flaming skull being fire, but that's only half the story. Well, I started playing Summon Raging Spirits this league, and I'm very impressed with it. But what I'm not very impressed with is the fact I had to search the internet to work out how this thing worked. So my mission this week is to demystify SRS. To let me know how useful this video is, let me know in the comments if you knew what this skill did before this video. One of the big sources of confusion online appeared to be whether SRS scaled off spell damage. It doesn't. The spell tag just tells us that it's a spell that's casting SRS. Now what the tag does mean is that faster casting will increase the speed at which we get these minions out, which in turn will kind of increase our damage. The other thing that the skill has is the duration tag. That means that skill effect duration will increase the time that these live for, up from the base of 5 seconds, which is practically no time at all. If you do want to min-max the power of this skill, then the divergent quality type is really powerful. At gem quality 20 it gives us an extra 2 Raging Spirits, which is huge. So SRS deals fire damage. So surely we want to stack that, right? Not necessarily. You might actually be better scaling physical damage. So why the hell is that? Well, SRS deals melee physical damage, with 100% conversion to fire. Now this means that it scales off gems you wouldn't expect, such as melee fizz, or even auras like hatred. It should also be noted that because the minion damage support gem doesn't have any restriction on the type of more damage it deals, this will apply to the physical before it's converted to fire and then again. And this is purely down to the way that damage conversion actually works. Now before you get really excited about this, do remember that these are minions, and so none of your stats, including your flasks, affect the minions. So Aziri's Promise won't turn all that damage to chaos and scale it up at each level. Now it also means that your gear won't affect the minion unless it specifically says it affects minions, which will be important for those of you who want to make a poison build out of it. Now the melee attack that SRS does is single target, which is great if you're killing a boss, but what about packs? Well, the developers of the game thought about this when implementing SRS. When we first launch SRS, they go to our mouse cursor. They'll then do one of two things. If there's no enemy within the seek range, they'll just sit there until an enemy comes into range. If there is, they'll go and attack them in a very aggressive way. And this minion's a bit weird in that regard. Most minions, when you cast them, are actually pretty passive. You actually require a support gem to make them aggressive, not with SRS. The wiki page actually tells us that it's unknown what effect exactly makes these minions aggressive. Maybe the raging name didn't give it away. Anyway, I digress. So they go to your mouse pointer, then they find nearby enemies. What happens next is a bit weird. They're actually programmed to spread out across the nearby enemies. So those 10 monsters you've got in front of you, your 20 SRS will spread out evenly across them, which means they're actually much more effective at mapping than most other minions. And when you use melee splash, it gets a little ridiculous, because these 20 SRS are attacking these 10 monsters, all of which are splash damaging their friends, leading to absolute decimation of packs. On top of that, boss damage is actually really good as well. So good in fact that I forget to swap out melee splash for multi-strike, and I don't actually notice because they go down so quick. The other thing you absolutely need to know about these minions is they cannot be directly targeted by enemies. So most of the time they'll be on 100% life. However, they can be decimated by strong area damage. So how do you stop all that wholesome SRS damage from just getting wiped off the map as soon as you cast it? Well, the Blessed Rebirth Notable on medium cluster jewels that do minion life make them invulnerable for 4 seconds. The other thing to note about SRS is they're not really solid, so they can't stop monsters from coming towards you, nor can they taunt. They're actually prevented from taunting. So things like Meat Shield just won't work. The other really weird thing is Convocation will not recall Summon Raging Spirits. They'll just stay where they were. They're also classed as flying minions, which means they're not affected by ground effects, and they can just pass over terrain as if it wasn't there. This makes the skill incredibly powerful if we can actually keep it up. So how do we do that when we gotta cast 20 minions and they only last for 5 seconds? First thing you're going to want to do is increase skill effect duration, and there's some minion nodes really close to the witch starting area that help in this. Second, we're going to be able to want to cast more than one at once. There are 2 real ways to do this. One is Spell Echo, which will cast 2 at once and give you a load of extra cast speed, meaning they cast faster. And there's also Unleash support, which with 3 seals will allow you to cast 4. On top of this, there's a lab enchant that gives you a chance when you cast Summon Raging Spirit to cast an extra one. This means that when it's supported by Unleash, you'll actually cast up to 8. There are 2 more things I really want to talk about before we finish this video. But before that, if you've enjoyed this video up to now, then please tickle that like button, it'll like it a lot. Okay, so what if you don't like the way SRS looks? Well, there are many MTX to choose from, and some of them look pretty good. But I can't help but feel that GGG missed out on a trick. And that's that I really want to see an MTX for Summon Rabid Squirrels. Can you imagine how cool that would be? You launch this skill and a load of rabid squirrels jump out of you and absolutely decimate mobs. That would be so cool. There should be blood splatter and everything. Now if you agree with me, take to social media and tell GGG that we want Summon Rabid Squirrels. And let me know that I'm not mental in the comments below. And lastly, the thing that irritated me the most this league, many people are playing poison versions of SRS. But how does that work when you're converting 100% of your physical damage to fire? Because fire can't inflict poison. And also, poison's assessed after the conversion takes place, so it can't even scale off physical. And surely you can't get enough flat chaos off gear to be able to do it. Well, and I was completely wrong. There is enough flat chaos off gear to do it because of 2 things. There is a unique sword in the game called United in Dreams, which gives minions a 60% chance to poison enemies on hit, which is all very well and good, but we still can't inflict poison if we're dealing fire damage. However, it also grants level 25 Envy skill, which can only be got by this or Old's Uprising. This is an aura that grants us a ton of flat chaos damage. On top of that, there's also the Covenant Spider Silk Robe, and that says that socketed gems are supported by level 29 added chaos damage. This gives us a pseudo 7 link that gives us a ton of flat chaos damage. This really does lead to an absolutely absurd amount of damage. I don't think I've played anything with so much damage. I don't think it was anticipated, and I fully expect one or more of these items to be nerfed before we go into the next league. So if you do want to give it a try while it's still strong, I suggest you do it now. And with that, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.